Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of WAKO Kickboxing Talks. Today, our guest here is Mrs. Francesca Falsoni. She is the Vice President and the Chairman of the Legal Committee of WAKO. So, welcome, Francesca. It's very nice to have you here.
Hi, Zeljko, and nice to see you. And thank you very much for the invitation.
Of course. And so, can you tell us a little bit about how and when you became involved in kickboxing? And we all know that your father, Ennio Falsoni, and his role in forming and shaping the organization as we know it today. Tell us more about this, please.
Okay. So my history with the kickboxing began when I was young, when my father Ennio took me to see the kickboxing events in the various sports arenas in Italy. In fact, my father was traveling a lot around the world, and the opportunities to be with him were also to be able to follow him in these events that were organized in Italy. And it's fun because I was rereading my father's book, Kickboxing, the Phenomenology of a Sport, recently. I was impressed to find the words that he used in the book, where I could recognize his distinctive traits of a man that after his competitive career as an athlete ended in 1976, he dedicated his body and soul to this new form of martial art called contact karate, that we know that later on was called kickboxing, that is the synthesis of kicking and boxing. So Ennio joined WAKO that at that time stood for World All-Style Karate Organizations, that was funded by the Berlin's Gerd Bruckner, that wanted to challenge the pre-existing, the WUKO, the World Union of Karate Organization. He became a huge supporter of this cause, and in fact, he was very busy strengthening WAKO, that then was renamed the World Association of Kickboxing Organizations, and obtained the official recognition of guys after 30 years back in April 7, 2006 in Korea. So I was really, let's say, profoundly shaped by Ennio's, of course, activity over the years, because he dedicated his life for WAKO, for spreading, let's say, the practice of kickboxing all around the world and to each nation. I have his word of his book here with me. So let's say that after many years, I realized that his personality, his enthusiasm for this sport and kickboxing in particular has shaped me profoundly. And I have become ultimately passionate for the sport, for kickboxing. And I have also embraced his cause, let's say. So my story is simple. I started assisting Ennio as a legal advisor when he was president of WAKO. And we carried out several projects for WAKO, especially business commercial agreements for the development of WAKO. After his illness, I felt, together with my sister Barbara, kind of obliged to continue his work for the popularization of kickboxing. And also, I was feeling the need to protect WAKO from a legal standpoint during the very difficult moments that followed his illness. But then it was your father, Borislav Pelevic, former president of WAKO and a fantastic person, that proposed me as a board member in WAKO back in 2015. And I will always be thankful to him for the chance he gave me, who has brought me where I am today in WAKO.
Yes, it's a very, very inspiring story from many, many great people in WAKO. And in that note, what would you say that WAKO means to you?
Well, as said before, after spending now almost 15 years being involved in WAKO and WAKO issues, so before with Ennio and then as a legal advisor and board member, I can say that WAKO has become an important part of my life, for me too, a reality which I really love and that I want to continue protecting and being able to support with my skills, my energy. I definitely share WAKO's values that are sport, integrity, determination, resilience, strength, fighting for the just cause, just to mention you a few, because of course there are many others. So let's say that my purpose is the same as my father's purpose, is to popularize WAKO and kickboxing in the world and providing support to WAKO as an organization in its development, in my case, under a legal perspective, because I was not an athlete, so I'm able and capable of supporting from a legal perspective.
Yes, exactly. And that's a very important, one of the most important things in WAKO too. And how would you say that WAKO has evolved in the past 10 years?
So WAKO is an entity that has grown enormously in the last 10 years. It has become increasingly institutionalized, structured, and it has developed and adopted increasingly stronger corporate governance rules, and is constantly evolving and expanding. So in the last years, WAKO has been able to be fully recognized by IOC. That was a milestone for WAKO. And the process of recognition of WAKO that started back with Ennio in 2012 has had a huge impact on the development of WAKO itself, because it was going through this process of recognition that gave the chance also to WAKO to, let's say, look inside and develop its own structure, rules, and regulations. So the process itself has been a booster for its development to the entity that we can see today. And I also truly believe that WAKO is destined to grow even more and become an increasingly established reality in the panorama of the international organizations that I'm pretty sure will be soon ready to be recognized as a sport, as an Olympic sport.
Yes, that was exactly going to be my next question. Where do you see WAKO evolving? Where do you see WAKO going in the future? Is that the direction that you think we're heading?
Yes, definitely the recognition of kickboxing as a sport, Olympic sport, is our ultimate goal, which is, let's say, something that we can really achieve. Of course, this means that we need to continue growing with, let's say, internally from a corporate perspective, from an organizational perspective, by taking into account the needs of our, let's say, core that are the athletes. And so we have to deliver great competitions, championships, and ensure that this is really, really done in a proper way. But in general, let's say, it is exciting to see how these sports can evolve and can be spread even more in the large public, because it's really an exceptional sport. Everybody should try.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And of course, with the right steps, the right results will come in time. And
Yes.
of course, what do you think are the main challenges for WAKO right now?
Yes, yes, the future challenges for WAKO as an organization, but actually like many other organizations and entities, is that we are living in a very unstable, with wars, pandemic, financial crisis everywhere. So it is really not easy for an organization which is really truly international like WAKO to keep a balance in this world when all around is in constant crisis and conflict. So the general instability on the other end could represent an opportunity if we think that people need to practice a sport for the well-being, the mental and health well-being, and also for shaping up the body and the mind to face the challenges of life. So under this perspective, kickboxing is actually a perfect sport that can train people to face difficulties and challenges. But of course, from an organizational point of view, the issue becomes more complicated when we see that promoters have to face difficulties in running WAKO World Championships, or when they have to face difficulties such as pandemics that we can remember obliged WAKO to cancel so many events back in 2020, 21, and also all the political issues, the wars that are spreading around the world. So from this point of view, of course, WAKO has many challenges to be faced, but like many other organizations and entities.
Yes, of course, and it's a very tough journey, but as the message of our sports say, it's all about resilience and
Yes.
go with it. And among your other roles and engagements in WAKO, you are also a member of a Women in Sports Committee. Can you describe us the most important role of this committee in the sport organization?
Yes. WAKO Women in Sports Committee plays a very important role in WAKO. The task of this committee is, of course, to raise questions relating to women activities in WAKO, the development of equal possibilities, so the gender balance, and also to provide advice to the board in order to represent the equal rights of women in WAKO at various levels, from the athlete to referees, coaches, up to the, let's say, governing body of WAKO. I think that this committee has made a huge work in the last years, because it, thanks to our chairperson, Kate, it realized a lot of projects. I just want to mention the few most popular projects that were delivered and applied in WAKO, which is the WAKO Women Against Cancer campaign that has had various years and in many competitions. And also we got the WAKO board approving the safeguarding policy to prevent behavior of harassment and violence in WAKO. So this committee in the end is taking care of monitoring that the rights of women in WAKO are guaranteed and protected and further developed. And we have also to remember that it is the IOC itself that in its regulations require a certain percentage of women in the corporate bodies of the organization. And this is something that WAKO is delivering, is effectively taking care of. So I think that the organization has done a huge work in this sense. Also, of course, thanks to the support of the WAKO Women in Sports Committee.
Yes, of course, and we are very, very, very proud of our spreading the message of equality. And
Yes.
beside your many professional engagements, do you have any time for your personal hobbies? We heard that you do yoga, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. I'm practicing yoga now. At my age, unfortunately, I cannot train kickboxing as I used to do from a total amateur level when I was younger. So I also love kickboxing and fitness, but yes, I'm practicing yoga because yoga keeps me a balance with my various activities, and it's also a spiritual discipline that keeps flexibility in the body and calmness in the mind, which is something that nowadays is something really important.
Yes, of course. And as with anything, it's very important to have balance. So work and then
Yes.
personal hobbies and work-life balance.
Yes.
What do you single out as the most important obligation of WAC organization today?
Yes. So as we were saying before, I think that WAKO must ensure the protection and the well-being of the athletes in first place. And then, of course, of all the coaches, referees, the entourage of the athletes and their family. The core of the activity of WAKO is delivering high-level competitions and championships where the athlete can compete in a safe and sustainable environment, and where they can acknowledge that the principles that are set forth in the WAKO Code of Ethics, as well as in WAKO's regulations, are effectively applied in the competitions. So WAKO's growth in the near future also means that we need to strengthen as much as possible from an organizational standpoint, of course, also thanks to the collaboration of the national federations of WAKO that are member of WAKO, the development of all these, and also the real concrete application of the rules and the principles of WAKO, in order to deliver to the athletes the best possible experience for their professional, let's say, sport career, that sometimes also becomes a professional career. So WAKO shall embrace the changes also that are also required to the business organization. For example, in terms of sustainability, environment, and corporate governance. And this is, we can see in the organization with the ESG, that are principles that at least in the European Union, every company must adhere with and try to develop towards these principles. So I think that WAKO has the same task in its development, a development that also takes into account also these important steps that must be achieved. And of course, this development will bring more entourage, more people, more popularity, more sponsors, more, let's say, occasions for WAKO to be known at the large public, and also to develop all its activities around the world.
Yes, exactly. And so this concludes our interview. Thank you so much, Francesca, for having us here and for being here today. We hope to speak to you again very soon. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Zeljko. It was a pleasure, and congratulations for your work.
Yeah, thank you. And to all the viewers, thank you so much for watching and see you in the next episode. Goodbye.